Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning.
I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky. We're talking about one of my favorite subjects, if not my favorite subject.
It's what we do.
Manifesting. We make people's dreams come true, and it comes down to manifestation.
It's the art of creation and co-creation.
It's the art of living lucky. That's what it is.
Amen to that.
It's the law of attraction. We just put our own little spin on it. And the law of attraction, if you are new to this, it goes like this. Like attracts like. Let me explain this to you. We are attracted to people we want to be like. We are also attracted to people who are like us. Therefore, if we want to attract people to us, we have to become the type of people we want to attract.
That's huge. That's really huge to really dive in and think about.
How do we do that? We do that with the thoughts we send out. Our thoughts are the communication system that we send out to the audience. And our emotions, the way we feel, is the communication system that brings or attracts or magnifies the experiences and the people to us.
Yeah, I think Michael Bernard Beckwith said, we don't get what we want, we get who we are.
We attract who we are. And it's that way with people. It's that way with experiences. It's that way with circumstances, opportunities, synchronicities. The more in line we are with this thing called source energy, some people call it God. That's what I call it. Some people call it Zen. Some people call it
Infinite
bliss.
intelligence.
Some people call it infinite intelligence. Everyone has their own little word for it, but really, when you get in line with your desires, your daily decisions, and your divine design, when you put God first, there's this energy that you align with, and I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. It's almost like you find your purpose in this world and the right people start coming into your stratosphere. You feel like your best. You start acting as your best. You know why you're put on this earth. You find potential inside yourself.
You start seeing opportunities that you didn't see before but were there, and they are made specifically for you.
You become aware.
Yes.
You become aware to things that you didn't know. And it's so simple and yet oh so complicated.
Right.
It can be both at the same time. I know that sounds so crazy.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that relate.
It's like you're everything and nothing
It's
all at the
one
same
of those
time.
things about how do I get out of my own way?
Yes.
And that's that dichotomy that we live in, is that we create we just talked about it, imbalance. And it's because we aren't clear about what we want. We are creating a minefield of things that get in the way of our own manifestation.
Okay, so let's just try to break it down a little bit. Manifestation 101. We have to know what we want.
Crystal clear.
We have to know what we want. And this is where people are reverse manifesting, or like Jason said, they're getting in their own way and they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
They don't even realize it. And here's why. They're putting out mixed signals of what they want, because many times they don't even know what they want.
Yeah, whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not, you are manifesting your life. You are creating all the things that are coming your way. You have stepped into all the footsteps along
The good
the way
and the bad.
by divine appointment of things that you've done in the past. So
By your thoughts and your feelings and your actions. Those three things.
yeah, so when we get crystal clear, when we get so crystal clear about the things that we want, that
And
we can,
intentional.
and we can smell it, we can taste it, we see the people,
We can feel
in
it.
that vision of that who we're planning on being around, and in that vision with us, we hear the words that they're saying, we hear the language we're using. I mean, you can taste the food in your future when you get clear enough on it.
And you have absolute confidence that that is the direction you are going. That is the direction you are going. And there is no doubt in your mind that you will make it because you can visualize it and you are already there when you close your eyes. You are already there. You can feel it. You can taste it. You can touch it. Just like Jason said, you are tuned in, tapped in. It's right there.
And when you get clarity like that, it's easy to lean towards it, and your feet will follow and your actions will follow because
And
you're
there's
becoming that person.
science behind it because your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So let me just explain this to you. If I had a piano in front of me and I had a person who I was teaching chords to, if I had two people that I was teaching chords to, and I said, you know what, I only have one keyboard, so I'm going to let Johnny take the keyboard home and practice the chords that I'm teaching today, and Jane has to just practice in her imagination. Who do you think is going to learn the keyboard better?
Well, one thing I know is that Jane gets the liberty of being able to practice the keyboard perfectly because in your imagination, you can create perfection.
Exactly. And she can practice it anywhere she goes. Anywhere at all times. She can even practice it in her dreams and in her sleep. And this is where people don't quite understand because most people think that Johnny would have an advantage because Johnny has an actual keyboard that he can practice on. However, it's all in our minds. It's in our imaginations. If we have an imagination, we have such an advantage over everyone.
There are studies and studies and studies on this, and it's really, you can see people manifesting and creating this pattern of thought through their meditation in Olympic sports, on when they're going over their floor routine, when they're going through their dive routine, when you can see tennis players practicing without the ball, without a racket, they're just in their mind.
My dad was a coach growing up. And so my younger sister and I, we did free throw contests growing up. That was our thing that we would do with dad is we would go, we would practice free throws, and then we would enter these contests. And I made it to the state level and I was very, very proud of that. Like that was awesome. But my little sister, she actually became the national free throw champion
Of the world.
when she was 9 years old, and she won the Getty Powell Award, which means she beat all of the boys and girls of all ages, all the way up to age 18 when she was 9. She made the most free throws out of 25. I think she made 23 out of 25 free throws at 9 years old. And we would go to the gym every single day and we would practice free throws, and then we would practice in our minds.
Yeah. 25 at the gym, 100 in your head.
And I feel like my dad was so ahead of the curve, even back in the 80s, early 90s. Like, it's so funny. He was so ahead of the curve. We would practice in our minds. And he would even say, imagine that hoop getting wide. Imagine it being so wide that the ball goes in every single time. And it's crazy. But anyway, so we're talking about manifesting. And the number one thing I want to talk about, because we're going to do a whole series on manifesting. You're not going to want to miss the next 2 weeks of our podcast because we are going to dive deep into manifestation. But the number one thing that I want to say when it comes to manifesting is you need to know this question. What do I want? When people start manifesting, they start focusing on what they don't want.
Yeah. I'm so
they start
tired.
Focusing on what they don't want.
I don't have enough money, so I need to get more money.
Now, hear me out.
backwards.
Hear me out. Would you ever go to an airline and say, now, I'm not sure where I want to fly today, but I know where I don't want to go.
Right. So you pick a plane.
The airline would roll their eyes and say, well, you need to go to the back of the line and you need to figure it out, little missy.
Yeah. But what we're doing in life is we're saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this.
I know I don't want to go to New York today, and I know I don't want to go to Seattle. And, well, you know what? I really don't want to go to Kentucky. Seriously, people are going to start complaining and saying, you know what? You need to figure out where you want to go.
Or if you
get out of line.
And if you get on the plane because it's not going to the places you want to go, and what happens is 5 years later you find out I'm somewhere I don't want to be. So it's not being clear.
Yeah.
And allowing everything you don't want to manifest itself. So clarity is going to bring all that in.
Right. And if you don't decide where you want to go, if you just go up there and say, you know what, just pick a plane, like Jason said, you're going to get on this plane and you're going to end up letting life dictate where you go, which...
and then you feel unfulfilled.
Or you're going to feel like a victim, like, well... Nobody told me I was going to end up in Podunk, BFE. Nobody told me that was even an option.
Don't Google BFE.
Well, wherever. So number one for manifestation is we need to decide the question.
What do I want?
What do I want? And that's as far as I'm going to go today. I got a little bit long-winded when it came to living in my imagination, and that's exactly where I went because that's where I spend most of my time.
That's where magic happens.
Seriously, my imagination, so much is happening up here.
That's where it starts.
Really, really fun.
So what do you want? And then get crystal clear on what you want.
What do I want? What do I want? Ask yourself, what do I want? And I know what you're really going to want. You're going to want to tune in 2 days because we're going to dive into this even deeper. What do I want? You're going to want to listen to Jana, Jason, and Living Lucky. Have a great day. Bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.